What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video in Geometry Dash. Gauntlets. They're a feature in GD added in Update 2.1. In a gauntlet, you will progress through 5 levels in a specific order. In my opinion, the Gauntlets did a lot wrong. Sure, it was a fair idea, but the way RobTop executed it left me feeling pretty underwhelmed and disappointed. And I have a few reasons as to why I think this. And if you personally enjoyed the Gauntlets, good for you. I'm fully open to discussion on this topic, so feel free to talk about your opinions in the comments below. And I have nothing but respect for RobTop, so I hope that nobody, Rob included, takes this as bullying. It's just criticism. But anyway, let's get into it. So for this video, I'm going to have a main statement, that being that the Gauntlets were poorly executed, unfun, and disappointing. I have 3 points as to why I think this, that being the presentation, the levels, and the motivation. So sit back, relax, and let's take a look at the Gauntlets. Part 1, the presentation. Okay, for my first point, I'm going to talk about the presentation of the levels. What I mean by this is the way the levels were ordered. The thing that was so great about the map packs, in my opinion, was the fact you didn't have to play the levels in order. If you didn't like playing a specific level, you could just come back to playing it later. But with the Gauntlets, you're essentially forced into playing the next level with no way of skipping it. This normally wouldn't be a bad thing, but in some Gauntlets, the difficulty curve of the levels is way too steep, particularly for new players. For example, in the Demon Gauntlet, things start off totally fine. Levels like Traction and Sidestep are extremely easy, and most players can beat them quite quickly. Most of the levels of the Gauntlet are easy until you get to Hell by Serpunch and Shig, which is much more difficult than everything else. This can be done well. Look at New Super Mario Bros. 2, a game that pretty much made my childhood. You start in World 1 with pretty simple gameplay, but the gameplay gets gradually more difficult as you go on, eventually until you reach World 6 for the final challenge, where all the skills you've learned playing the game need to be refined. But what this gauntlet is basically doing is putting you through 4 levels before launching you into the final boss. You don't get enough time to harness your skill and are unprepared. It's neither fair nor fun. The exact same thing happens in the other gauntlets, just on a smaller scale. Empyrean is a big step up from everything else in the Magic Gauntlet. Magmatic Sanctuary is much more inconsistent and exasperating than everything else in the Fire Gauntlet. The difficulty curve isn't consistent at all, and therefore it's very unfun to play. Part 2. The levels. It's not like I'm saying that all the levels are bad, with a few exceptions. But the way the levels are chosen really makes me feel like RobTop just gave up on theming the gauntlet. For example, the Fire Gauntlet consists of the levels Outer Space, Overture, First Race, Shock, and Magmatic Sanctuary. Only one level out of the 5 listed here was fire themed, that being Magmatic Sanctuary. See what I mean? The levels chosen are basically all completely irrelevant to fire, and this happens for basically every original gauntlet except the Demon Gauntlet. Let's fix this up. This is my version of the Fire Gauntlet. So, my Fire Gauntlet would consist of the levels Burning Hell, Fire Level, Infinite Circles, Volcanic Rush, and Dark Hell. Okay, clearly that would be quite an inconsistent difficulty curve, but do you see my point? Basically, any player can make a better combination of levels than the current Fire Gauntlet. This continues on to the other gauntlets as well, the Ice Gauntlet only having one level that could even be described as ice-themed, that being Amplification. In more recent gauntlets like the Crystal Gauntlet, Rob is showing signs of improving the theming, probably because there was a gauntlet contest which made having to use a theme a rule. So this problem could be fixed pretty easily, but in the original gauntlets, RobTop took one actual theme level, put it right at the beginning of the gauntlet, and then just gave up. Another problem I have is the way the gauntlet levels are selected, meaning RobTop is basically rewarding effortless levels like Frontline's Full. Levels like that now get hundreds of downloads a day because of the gauntlets. Again, the levels in newer gauntlets are showing improvement, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Part 3. The motivation. Now, I want to talk about how demotivating some of these levels can be to players. Certain levels in the gauntlets are exasperating to play. This is basically what happens when you combine poorly built levels with no theming and a steep difficulty curve. It isn't fun. I've already talked about how out of place the level Hell is in the Demon Gauntlet. It's time to shed some light on the other gauntlets that honestly seemed really demotivating to me personally. In the original version of the Fire Gauntlet, you needed to complete Magmatic Sanctuary as the first level of the list, meaning that me and many others playing the original version had to deal with the buggy struggle of that level and the rest of the gauntlet being easy. It doesn't feel right, it's unstable and inconsistent. Fire Aura in the Lava Gauntlet was way too tricky for the 4th level. Battle Town in the Bonus Gauntlet was a bit too tough for the 3rd level. Scarlet Surge in the Chaos Gauntlet was overly exasperating and dragged out for the 2nd level, and the less said about Powerful by GD Jose, the better. All this makes for an excruciatingly boring, exasperatingly frustrating, annoyingly dragged out set of levels. And I know what you're thinking, but StopStart, what about all the cool rewards you get from beating them? The rewards were underwhelming, particularly in the originals. Seriously, who stops playing the daily level to say, you know what? I'm tired of living the simple life. I'm gonna chase my dreams and get that puke red icon color I've always wanted. The icons were pretty mediocre as well, and definitely not worth it for cramming all your blood, sweat and tears into that soul-crushing first wave in hell. I'm not gonna lie, I legitimately believe that I could put 15 times less effort into saving up for a chest in the treasure room, and it would probably be more rewarding. It completely disregards how much effort you need to complete all these levels. So yeah, that was the video. What do you think? Did you enjoy the Gauntlets? Do you have mixed opinions? Or are you just as skeptical as I am? Tell me what you think in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'm currently aiming for a main channel goal of 10k subscribers this year. It would mean a lot if you help me out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.